Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel Akem here, and today I wanted to talk to you about L&M Fine Jewelry. The L stands for Landy, the M stands for Michael, and the An stands for their son, Carson, or as he jokingly says, it stands for Carson. It's a family-owned jewelry company. It's your diamond destination. I know it's my destination. I went there to get my fiance's engagement ring. They took great care of me. Their customer service is amazing. They're very attentive to what you need and what you're looking for, and they know exactly how to get you that. And also, their communication is top notch. They take great pride in taking good care of their customers. They took great care of me and my fiance every time we went in there. Great smiles on all their faces. They do a great job. If you're in the Missoula area, or even if you're in the state of Montana, you have to drive over to Missoula. Come to L&M Fine Jewelry. Get that ring for that special person. It's your diamond destination.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel Akem here, and I'm back with another one. I want to thank you guys for continuing to tap in. We are 1 week closer to college football starting. I know it's going to be a great season. We have a ton of new changes in college football, and I cannot wait to see how they play out. Obviously, the FCS level is pretty consistent. Few teams not going to be eligible for the playoffs, but other than that, college football season is approaching, and it's going to be amazing. I got some great topics for you guys today. We're going to be talking about my early Big Sky preseason standings for 2024. Very, very exciting. And very excited, myself, very excited to see what you guys' thoughts are about those. Travis Hunter, rumors are from NFL scouts that they prefer him at a receiver other than a cornerback. I got some film that I'm going to pair with that, so stay tuned for that topic. I'm really excited about that topic. They're talking about a new model for college football. This is something that I saw retweeted by Sam Herder. But since the revenue model is coming to college football, there's a lot of new changes that could potentially be happening to the G5 and FCS levels of football. So we're going to be talking about that. Talking about what what the Mountain West Conference would look like if the Pac-2 added a bunch of teams from the Mountain West, so then the Mountain West had to go poach a bunch of FCS teams, talking about what that would look like theoretically, so we're going to be talking about that. Portland State's schedule. So this is something that I saw. I want to give props to Zach McKinnell. I was watching the FCS Blue Bloods yesterday with him and his co-host, and they were talking about Portland State's schedule. And I know earlier on in the season I had said that, or early on in the offseason, a couple of weeks ago, I said that I thought that Montana State had the toughest conference schedule. I think they have a gauntlet towards the end of the season. I still stand by that. But looking at the Portland State's schedule in totality, it's honestly crazy, the competition they have, and we're going to be looking at that. That'll be my last topic. No fan questions today. I want to thank you guys for tapping in. I appreciate you guys for continuing to show me love. Make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe. Make sure you guys hit comment down below your thoughts, and we will get straight into it. Okay. Before I get to my 2024 Big Sky preseason standings, my early Big Sky preseason standings, we're going to talk about the NCAA presidents trying to limit sports betting on college football, college basketball. Quote, this all has to stop. Now, as you guys know, sports betting has been growing in popularity over the last 5 to 10 years. I know it was already a thing prior to that, but with it being legalized nationally, by state, I mean, I don't want to say it nationally legal, but states have the reins to decide if they want it to be legal or not. I mean, sports betting is legal in, I think, all 50 states, but there's different modalities. Some you're allowed to use the apps up here in Montana. There's no really apps that are legal to use up here. We really got to go through Sportsbet Montana. So there's different avenues of getting to sports betting, but sports betting has been legal. Prop betting is a big thing in college football and college basketball. I guess some people higher up within the NCAA are trying to stop the prop betting. I guess it's kind of dangerous. And I mean, I get it. There's been many professional athletes in many sports that have received death threats, have received threats from fans because they didn't hit their props. So say, for example, I'm a receiver. My prop bet is 80 receiving yards for the game. And I don't get over that. Somebody will be coming at me because I didn't hit my prop of getting over 80 yards when there's so many things that can play into me not getting over that 80 yards. they see it as I'm costing them money. I'm trying to keep food off their family's table. I'm trying to hurt them. I don't know what it is. I've never received death threats for sports betting, but I know that's something that a lot of people out here have been faced with in this day and age of sports betting. So I think that's what NCAA presidents are trying to avoid. So let's read a little bit about the article. It is almost impossible for sports fans to avoid prevalence of sports betting in today's world with advertisement, sponsorships, and more. And NCAA president Charlie Baker is tired of it. This all has to stop, he said Monday, per Brian Fisher of Fox Sports. So far, we've managed to work with 4 states to shut down prop betting on college sports. So he's talking about here that they've already started the charge to shut down prop betting in many states and have already successfully shut it down in 4 states. He also said, I wish sports betting had just stayed in Las Vegas. I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if I agree with that. He also, Baker specifically highlighted the dangers of it with college sports and said it is far more challenging for young people to avoid it, per college sports insider Matt Brown. So I guess in a sense, I thought that he was talking about it from a protecting the players standpoint. I mean, and that this is still in a protecting the players standpoint, but I thought he was speaking of it in terms of protecting the players from the fans. From this, it seems like he's speaking on it from protecting the players from themselves, because I guess prop betting is probably the easiest modality to bet on yourself, and it's probably the easiest modality to cheat in terms of in terms of sports betting. So I guess it's easy for me or somebody else or any player to put a prop on themselves, and it's easy for them to control the outcome of that. So I see that. This is not a new concern for the NCAA president, as he previously called for the ban of prop bets for college games. Sports betting issues are on the rise across the country, with prop bets continuing to threaten the integrity and competition and leading to student athletes and professional athletes getting harassed. So yes, that's what I was talking about. Student athletes and professional athletes getting harassed. But also, there was something that was in there. Sports betting issues are on the rise across the country, with prop bets continuing to threaten the integrity and competition. Integrity and competition. If you remember, I talked about the Jonte Porter situation with the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. He got a lifetime ban from the NBA for betting on himself, and many of the bets that he was putting in were props that he was not hitting, and they were kind of egregious. The amounts that were bet on him to hit these numbers were egregious. Red flags all over the place. This is a guy that doesn't play a lot, doesn't put up a lot of numbers all the time, and all of a sudden he's having the most output on his bets, on his prop bets. Come on now. But I think that's what I think also could be another. I thought that was what he was mentioning previously, but it seems like he is trying to protect the players. But I think just in general, prop betting is a very dangerous business. I think it can get very murky if you're not diligent and making sure that your checks and balances are in place. So yeah, I see that. I definitely see that. Baker said in March, that previous Baker said in March, the NCAA has been working with states to deal with these threats, and many are responding by banning college prop bets. Some states have taken that step. Those are the 4 that I think Charlie Baker was speaking of. In April, David Ubben of The Athletic reported Louisiana will ban sports books from offering prop bets on college athletics. This ban will go into effect on August 1st, of this year. Louisiana joins Vermont, Ohio, and Maryland as states that have recently banned college prop bets. And Ubben noted Colorado, Arizona, Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and Oregon all prohibit them. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 10 states that already prohibit prop bets, 4 that have that have banned it this year, and 6 other states that prohibit it. What's more, Illinois, Connecticut, and Iowa don't allow gamblers to place prop bets for college games involving in-state teams. So you can place in Illinois, Connecticut, and Iowa. You can place a prop bet, but it can't be for the team that any in-state team. So for Connecticut, you can't place prop bets on UConn. I don't even know any other Connecticut schools. I'm going to just use UConn. We'll stop it there. Iowa, or Iowa State, you can't place prop bets on them. Northern Iowa, those schools. And then Illinois, Northern Illinois, Northwestern, you can't place prop bets on on teams in those states if you live in those states, which I guess they're doing that because you would probably have the strongest allegiance to an in-state team. So I guess the vitriol towards those players or teams might be worse. So maybe you can't place them on teams in this state, but you can place them on any other state. That's funny. This all comes as gambling remains a major storyline across the entire sports world. As you guys know, I mentioned Jonte Porter with the NBA, but The MLB, Shohei Ohtani had a situation with his interpreter. A couple of more MLB players just got, I don't know if they got lifetime bans. I think one player in the MLB actually got a lifetime ban, but I think a couple of other players in the MLB just got caught up. Some players in the NFL got caught up last year. We know the Calvin Ridley situation from a couple of years ago. So this is something that is rearing its ugly head in every league, not just one, not just college sports. We saw actually also mentioning some Iowa players got in trouble for sports gambling as well a couple of years ago. So this is popping up everywhere. College sports, it's popping up in the professional leagues, NBA, MLB, and NFL, the three biggest leagues in America. We've seen it pop up in all three of those leagues. So it's becoming a big issue. It's becoming something that definitely needs to be addressed. And I think before it becomes a bigger issue at the college level, I mean, it might already be a super big issue at the college level, but I don't know if they have the right things in place to be able to rally it. But from the investigation into Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, to NBA banning Jonte Porter, to Major League Baseball banning Takupita Marsano, sports gambling has made plenty of headlines of late. This is all the situations I just mentioned. Sports gambling has becoming a big thing, and I think there definitely needs to be some things in place. I don't know why prop bets, I mean, they're probably looking at the numbers and seeing that prop bets are the things that are becoming the biggest hot button issue. They are becoming the things that are being a reference point in all of these gambling scandals. So this is something that we need to get a wrangle on right now. I definitely think something needs to be done. There's already rules and regulations prohibiting it. So, rules are meant to be broken, not to play devil's advocate, but people, when there's rules in place, somebody is always going to try to toe the line and always going to try to break the rules. So I don't know what they have to do to put things in place to limit it. I think prop betting is a good start to that. But I know, obviously, just like anything, people are going to have an uproar to that because there are people who are using these prop bets in a fair, safe, and understandable manner that they're not being malicious towards any players. They're not treating it as there's people who do this within the rules, not, being mad at any players if they don't hit their marks. There's people who just like to bet and like prop bets. So I think there is a group of people who are going to feel kind of some type of weight about this because they might really enjoy a good prop bet. And now in a lot of these states, you're not even going to be able to prop bet on college sports. So, I think they're taking steps to be able to protect their leagues, to protect the integrity of sports in general. I think that's something that has become a big hot button issue in sports. The refs in football, it always seems like they're leaning towards Patrick Mahomes. I think people just want to look past the fact that Patrick Mahomes is just really good and he has a lot of really good pieces around him as well as a really good head coach. The refs do kind of lean towards his way though. We're not going to get into that. And then in basketball, people like to think that, potentially things are rigged, but I think it's the biggest. We hear it the biggest in football. Oh, this is rigged. Oh, this is rigged. Oh, this is rigged. So I think the leagues are trying to protect themselves. And if integrity becomes an issue, especially with the gambling, that's something that you can't play with because just like Pat McAfee likes to talk about this all the time, if you don't have integrity, you don't have a league and nobody has a job. Sports talk is not a thing. Sports media is not a thing. The sport itself is not a thing. These media rights companies would not be trying to pay all this money. Nobody gets to get any money if the integrity of the league becomes a thing because nobody trusts, is this really a true outcome? Is this really being decided by the players on the field? Or is it being decided by some outside force that nobody else out here can control? The players don't control the outcome. The coaches don't control the outcome. The refs on the field don't control the outcome. There's somebody else controlling the puppets, telling them who's going to win, who's going to make what plays. The league would be finished. Each league would be finished if that became the case. So these commissioners, these people in power are trying to get ahead of that. And I think it's a good idea. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments, and we will move on. Okay. My early Big Sky preseason standings for 2024. Now, this is very early. I'm not going to do too much talking on each team and why I put them there. I will do a full breakdown on what and why I did my preseason when I do my final preseason Big Sky rankings. These are my early preseason Big Sky rankings. We got a couple of months until the season starts. I'll probably do my final one probably after Big Sky Media Day, late July, or maybe even into August. I know the season doesn't start till the end of August, so I might even do my preseason rankings during that August time. You guys let me know what timeline works best for you, but we're going to get into it. At number 1, the NCAA FCS national champion runner-up, unfortunately, is the Montana Grizzlies. They return a lot of weapons offensively. Outside, they have the skill positions. They probably have the best skill group in the country. Junior Bergen, Aaron Fonts, Keelan White, Eli Gilman, the National Jerry Rice Award winner. Nick Osmo, a ton of experience. Stevie Rocker Jr., an older guy, bigger guy, looks like a big weapon for the Montana Grizzlies. Then you also got Xavier Harris. The offensive line is a question mark. I know they got some experience coming back on the offensive line. I think they'll be good. The biggest question mark is the quarterback. We don't have to get into that. Their defense, I think it's more about scheme. I was on Fat Mouth Sports the other day talking with Kevin from FCS Nation Radio, TP, Tavares Parker, and gosh, I'm blanking on my guy's name. Troy White. My guys from Fat Mouth Sports. You guys make sure you guys go check them out. But I was breaking down why I think that the defense is more about the scheme other than it is about the pieces, because I think for a few years now we've seen multiple pieces go in that defense, and people always thought, like, people thought last year that Montana's defense was going to have a down year last year, but it was probably the best defense we've seen in the Houck era, if I'm being honest. And a big piece of that was Alex Gubner. But with Montana's defense, I think it just comes more down to the scheme and the 3-3-5 they run, a lot of blitz packages, keep quarterbacks uncomfortable, keep them under pressure, and that will manifest itself in wins. You obviously got Trevin Gradney coming back. You got Ronald Jackson Jr. You got Ryan Tyrell, who's played a lot of snaps. You got some guys on the D-line, Riley Wilson returning as well. You got really good pieces all over the place on that defense. I think they'll be solid. We'll move on. You got number 2, Montana State, Tommy Mellott. I hope he can stay healthy this year. I'm really excited to see how he does. They got some running backs returning. They got a really young running back, Scott Trey Humphrey, who I'm really high on. I think he's a really good player. They got one of their receivers returning. They got a lot of linemen returning. Their offense should be good. Their offensive line is the biggest thing. They have 5 offensive linemen with starting experience returning this year. So I think that will bode well for them in terms of being able to do what they do, which is run the ball. Defensively, they lost a piece defensively, but they lost Valdez on defense, but they also returned the sack leader. He might have been second in sacks in the conference, but Brody Grebe, really, really good player. Now their legacy player with that number 41 jersey. So really excited to see how they do. They got Rylan Ort, I think, returning as well. He's got a lot of experience. He plays well. He plays hard. Good downhill safety that plays in the box, can make tackles. But I think they're going to be replacing some things on the linebacker. Well, actually not even, because they have some linebackers returning as well. One of their linebackers that was hurt last year that'll be playing, I'm sure, getting a lot of reps this year. So Montana State, I think they'll be really good. I think they'll be number 2. Number 3, you got UC Davis, Lan Larison, their quarterback, Hastings, or Hastings. I think it's Hastings. 2 really good pieces offensively that are returning. I don't really know so much what their defense will be like. I think their defense in the past years, at least last year, was kind of up and down. They played good here. I think they played Montana pretty strong, but I think their defense will probably be the biggest question mark for them. Lan Larison is obviously a weapon. I think he'll do a lot of good things for them. UC Davis at 3. At number 4, we got Sac State. You got Caden Bennett. You got that young quarterback Conklin. Those are some good pieces. They lost Terrace Marshall, their tight end. They lost another receiver. I think they lost a receiver. They did lose a receiver, one of their faster receivers, shorter receivers. They lost a linebacker as well, first team all-conference linebacker at that. I think defense will be the biggest thing for Sac State. Tackling will be the biggest thing for them. I think offensively they'll be good. I think usually offenses in the Big Sky are usually pretty strong. I think across the board, most offenses are pretty strong, unless you get down to talk about like maybe Cal Poly or Northern Colorado. But I think when you look at most teams offensively, maybe Northern Arizona struggled a little bit offensively as well. But I'm just looking at some of these teams. Eastern Washington is usually pretty good offensively. Idaho is usually pretty good offensively. Sac State's usually pretty good offensively. UC Davis is usually pretty good offensively. Montana State, it was like top 3 in the country in offense last year. Montana is usually a team that usually has pretty good offense or defense, but offense is usually the question mark. Will, like with Montana being able to put up points. Portland State usually is pretty good in the run game. I think their offense has up and down years. Idaho State can usually put up points, but for the most part, I think most Big Sky teams are usually able to put up points, but I'm on Sac State. I think their offense will be pretty good. Travis Gibson is coming back. I don't know what they have in the tight end position, but I know they have some running backs coming back. They got their 2 good quarterbacks. Their quarterback, Caden Bennett, can run and throw. I think defense will be the problem for them, will be the question mark for them, but they're at number 4 on my list. At number 5, I have Idaho. That young quarterback, Lane, I think he showed well against Idaho State last year when he got to play in place for Giovanni McCoy. They're losing a lot of pieces. They're losing a receiver, Hayden Hatton. They're losing a running back, Anthony Woods. They're losing some defensive players, a defensive back. But I think they're tooled up pretty nicely to be a pretty good outfit in 2024. So Idaho's at number 5. Eastern Washington, you got Visperis, their quarterback. You got Efton Chisholm, their receiver, all conference receiver. Hopefully he's able to get over 1,000 yards. I think their offense will be really good this year. They have another receiver in Nolan Olm, who's a really good player. Defensively, again, Eastern Washington comes down to defense. They struggle to tackle well. They struggle to make plays defensively. They struggle to get stops defensively. That's where they've been struggling the last 5 to 10 years. So hopefully they're able to get that settled up. But that's number 6. Number 7, you got Weber State. They lost some really good pieces. They lost their linebacker, Jack Kelly, who's like a 3-4 linebacker, I believe, coming off the edge. And then they also lost their linebacker, their stand-up linebacker, I believe, Winston Reed. He's at the Browns now as a undrafted free agent. But their defense will definitely be a question mark. I think Weber State has been one of the stronger defensive teams over the last 5 to 10 years in the Big Sky. So I think Weber State will be pretty solid in 2023. Obviously, they're at number 7 on my list. I think the conference in general will be a pretty... I don't know. I was going to say I think it's going to be pretty strong in 2024, but I really don't know how to judge because there's a lot of pieces that are leaving due to transfer portal, not even just due to like age. But I think Weber State will be solid. Their younger quarterback is going to have another year under his belt. They lost their returner cornerback as well on defense. So that's another piece on defense that they're losing. Obviously, there's probably some guys, younger guys that have experience that are going to be coming up. But we'll see. Weber State's going to be an interesting one. Northern Arizona has been my dark horse all offseason to win the Big Sky. I don't know how good I feel about that. They were 5-3 in conference last year, which is really good. They ended up like 4th or 5th in the conference last year behind Montana State. I think they finished above Sac State and UC Davis, but there's their overall record, which is not good. Their in-conference record was really good, though. Northern Arizona, they're at 8 on this preseason list. Now, obviously, they could shock some people, but it's hard to put them above some of the teams that I put them above. Weber, Eastern, Idaho, Sac, UC Davis, Montana State, Montana, like... I couldn't justify putting them above any of them, but I do think they could shock the world. They got a quarterback returning this year. They got an all-conference safety on their squad, Alex McLaughlin, I believe his name is. Really good player, young player as well, was a freshman. Might have been a freshman All-American last year. Really, really good player. They got some decent pieces. They lost a receiver, actually, as well. So we'll see how Northern Arizona is there at number 8. Portland State, really good rushing squad. They got Dante Chachere, their quarterback, really good player. Their schedule is tough. We will get to that later. They're at number 9 on my list. I had looked at some of the conference schedules of some of these Big Sky teams. But if you look at Portland State's schedule in totality, their schedule is a gauntlet. And I want to thank Zach McKinnell yesterday on the FCS Blue Bloods for talking about how crazy their schedule truly is. I'm going to get into that later on in this video. Idaho State at number 10. Really good offensively. I think they got a really good quarterback. I think they got some good receiving pieces as well, but they can't stop anybody. And, defense wins championships. Defense is what's going to win you games. Obviously, putting up points is nice. They had a great comeback against Eastern Washington last year, but you got to play defense. Cal Poly, I don't want to say much about them. They have a really good pass rusher. I'm blanking on his name right now. But they have a really good pass rusher defensively. I think he's going to be a really good player for them. I think he was all conference last year. Elijah's something. I'm blanking on his last name, but Elijah from Cal Poly, the pass rusher. Really good player. But outside of that, they lost their quarterback, Heward. I don't know how good Cal Poly's going to be. They're number 11 for a reason. Then Northern Colorado. I don't know much about what Northern Colorado has roster-wise, depth chart-wise. I don't know a lot of their pieces. But I do know that they've not been good. They've not been very good. A close friend of mine who covers the Big Sky doesn't think that Northern Colorado should even be in the Big Sky. So I think that's pretty funny. He doesn't think they're an FCS Division I football team. He thinks they need to go back down. Let me ask this question: if Northern Colorado went down in Montana or in the Big Sky had to drop another team, who would you guys drop? Cal Poly, Idaho State, Portland State, Northern Arizona. Because I think my top 7 all have to be there. Weber, Eastern, Idaho, Sac, UC Davis, and Montana State and Montana. I think those are all justifiable FCS Big Sky teams. But I think Portland State, Northern Arizona, Portland State, Idaho State, Cal Poly, and Northern Colorado all could be fringe D2 FCS team. So, or maybe just, I don't know. You guys let me know. That's my top. So I'm gonna go back through my top 12 Big Sky teams, my preseason Big Sky rankings. 1 is Montana, 2 is Montana State, 3 is UC Davis, 4 is Sac State, 5 is Idaho, Eastern Washington at number 6, number 7 is Weber State, number 8 is NAU, Northern Arizona, number 9 is Portland State, number 10 is Idaho State, number 11 is Cal Poly, and number 12 is Northern Colorado. You guys let me know what you guys think about these in the comments. These are not my final preseason rankings. These are just my early preseason rankings around June right now. I'll get a final around August. You guys let me know what you guys think about that, and I will move on. Okay, Travis Hunter rumors. NFL scouts prefer Colorado superstar at wide receiver instead of DB. Now, this is very interesting because I think Travis Hunter is a damn good football player. Super athletic, super smart player, very instinctive. But it's like sometimes when you watch the film, sometimes when you watch the All 22, it's like, I don't really know what he's doing. Now, I haven't watched any of his receiver film. I have not watched any of his receivers film. I've seen his numbers. He had about 700 receiving yards, which is, I think that's really good for a guy that's playing both ways. 700 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. I don't know how many receptions, but like 700 receiving yards while also playing defense, getting 3 interceptions, getting a bunch of pass breakups. Like, he's obviously a really good player. He's obviously a really good athlete. He obviously can play the game at a very high level, and somebody's going to get a really good player. But it's like, when do you specialize him, and would it benefit him to specialize in college? Because obviously I think he's going to specialize in the NFL. That's how you're going to maximize his value. I think in the NFL is to specialize him. But it's like, I think I know why scouts are saying that he should play receiver other than DB, because I've watched some of the defensive back film. Like I said, I haven't watched any receiver film, but I've watched some of the defensive back film, and it seems a little inconsistent to me. I think he's a really good player, and I think you obviously see the value in him as a defensive back, but it's like when you watch the film, it is a bit inconsistent, and I'm going to show the film towards the end of this topic. So please stay with me and continue watching. I'm going to read a little bit from the article, though. Travis Hunter is a do-everything superstar at Colorado, but NFL scouts reportedly think he'll need to focus on being a receiver at the next level. I don't 100% doubt that, having watched the film. We will get into the film a little later. Matt Miller of ESPN reported scouts peg Hunter as more as a receiver, where Hunter's speed and electric ability with the ball in his hands is best utilized, whereas at cornerback, he would need to focus on technique more and rely less on winning with speed. 100%. I think he trusts his speed and athleticism a little too much at the corner position, and sometimes he gives up easy stuff. Sometimes he just gives up, like you'll see, like I keep saying, you'll see when I show the film, but sometimes the things he's given up is just like we didn't even have to give that up, bro. Like, you're there. Hunter played both wide receiver and corner last season, racking up 57 receptions for 721 yards and 5 touchdowns. I think that's really good for somebody playing both ways, while adding 31 tackles and 3 interceptions on the defensive side. Colorado coach Deion Sanders has said Hunter should play both ways in the NFL. Quotes, "The NFL has got a problem," Sanders told reporters in the spring. "What are you going to draft him as? And he's got to play both ways because he has value on both sides of the ball." I don't doubt that he has value on both sides of the ball, but should he play both ways? I don't know about that. And obviously, ultimately, it's not Deion's decision, although I do commend him for being able to stand by his players, stand by his guys. Hunter is widely viewed as a first-round pick, but the results vary on where he might wind up being selected. His two-way versatility has been a massive boon for Sanders, yet makes it harder for teams to project how he would do if specialized on one position full-time. Sanders' presence also makes things more difficult for NFL teams. The Hall of Fame cornerback claims he will steer Hunter and his son, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, to certain teams in the pre-draft process. "I know where I want them to go," Sanders said on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast with Gillian Wallow. "So it's certain cities that ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be an Eli. It's going to be an Eli." So basically, Eli Manning got drafted by somebody, I don't know 100% know who, and his father and him said, "Nah, we're not gonna go there," and they ended up not going there, and the team did not draft them. So, I guess they're trying to play that. Obviously, Deion Sanders has clout. Obviously, the Manning family has a tremendous amount of clout. But I want to get into the film now as to why I think scouts say he's not going to be, he should specialize at receiver. Because like I said, I think he makes damn good plays at defensive back, but I think it's a little bit inconsistent. I think just like they said, his electric ability, the ability that he has with the ball in his hands, his speed, that could all translate very well to receiver, and he's already shown to be pretty successful as a receiver while doing it part-time. He had 721 receiving yards doing it part-time, folks. Like, not part-time. I'm sure he played a ton, but like he's playing receiver and corner. That's not easy. There's receivers who play full-time receiver who don't get 721 receiving yards. So let that sink in. Let that sink in. And obviously they're feeding him 57 receptions. They're feeding him. But let me get into the film and show you guys why I think scouts think he should specialize as a receiver. Okay. I want you to watch this right here. Pay attention to Travis. He's right here. Definitely looks like he's playing a zone. I kind of have to let it play out a little bit to see what zone he's playing. But this is definitely his area over here. And he's definitely got this receiver who runs a whip route. Tetero McMillan, who runs a whip route. He's going to run this whip route up here. Watch Travis. Travis has really got him, but he's really going to trust. He's really going to be watching the quarterback's eyes. You see the quarterback go through his progression. You got to really watch his eyes. Watch the quarterback go through his progression. But this is all about Travis. Watch Travis. Watch this super athletic play he makes. I mean, to pivot, that's not really his responsibility. I mean, I guess you can kind of say they're getting into his zone as they go that over, but that looks like it was going to be an easy touchdown. They get a little jumbled up. Nobody's really following him. Somebody looks like they're going to run with him. They pass it off. Nobody's covering him. He's wide open. Travis makes the miraculous play while also leaving his guy kind of wide open. But, I mean, just a crazy athletic play. This is one of the plays that you would see and be like, oh, my gosh, this guy could be a freaking amazing cornerback. Watch this. Just watch the athleticism to pivot and get over there one more time. Watch him to pivot and get over there. Really good. Really, really good, right? And then let me show you a couple more plays. Okay, and then watch this play. He's going to have McMillan in man right here on the out. I don't think this is a super crazy route by McMillan. It doesn't look like it's not crazy, and Travis is right there in coverage. And he looks like he's able to make the play. He tries to gamble and jump it and doesn't make the play, but he's right in position to make the play. He doesn't get beat bad at all in the route. It's nothing crazy. Now, granted, this is a really good receiver. 6'5", 210. McMillan is probably the best returning receiver in college football this year. 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns last year, 90 receptions. Really, really good player. But Travis Hunter is a dog in his own right, too. And if you think this guy is a first-round cornerback, if you guys think this guy is who he should be, this is a little bit inconsistent. You go from that last play in the red zone where he's making a crazy play, showing his athleticism, showing that he's been studying film, showing his intelligence, his football IQ, and then this play, just a simple man coverage. Obviously, I think it starts as a zone. Kind of looks like it starts as a cover 3 zone. You kind of see the cover 3 shell, and once McMillan goes deep, he's mine now, so it turns into man coverage. But it's just like, it kind of feels a little inconsistent. It feels like he's in position to make this play and he doesn't. I don't know why he doesn't make the play. He kind of tries to jump it, but it looks like he's here. It looks like he's here. It doesn't look like McMillan's running specifically, like particularly super fast right here or anything like that, but I don't know. He just doesn't make the play. Keep watching. I'm going to show you a couple more clips. Okay, so once again, this is the same drive, and I'm going to say it again. McMillan is a really, 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 really good receiver. He's a dog. 1,400 yards, 90 receptions, 10 touchdowns, 15.6 yards a catch. Like, he's a dog. He's a really, really good player. But I just feel like Travis Hunter was in great position right here. I feel like Travis Hunter could have made this play. I really feel like Travis Hunter could have made this play. Granted, this receiver is 6'5". Ball was thrown outside, but I don't know. It just seems a little inconsistent to me. Now, granted, these guys were battling this whole game. I'm pretty sure this game came down to the wire. Guys are going to make plays. He's going to win some. I know Travis won some plays out of this as well. But I think as a first-round corner, as somebody who you want to play both ways, I don't know. It just seems kind of like that was an easy play for McMillan. Seems like the release wasn't that crazy. He didn't do a super crazy move to get open. He is 6'5". Quarterback puts the ball up there. One-handed catch. Just kind of shield him off. One-handed catch. I don't know. You guys tell me. I think I have one more clip that I want to show. One more clip. Okay, and then you got this. I think Travis Hunter is an amazing athlete. I think he's a dog. I think he's going to be a first-round draft pick. I think he's going to be an amazing player. But I am just simply trying to shed some light on why I think the scouts think he should specialize at receiver and not corner. Take this play, for example. It seems like there's a big miscommunication. This looks like, I think this was a third down. No, this is a second down. Second and long, 2nd and 10. They got him backed up, back to their own end zone. They got Arizona with their back to their own end zone. It looks like Colorado is playing a cover 3 here. It looks like Colorado is playing a cover 3 here. It looks like Colorado is playing a cover 3 here. So meaning that cover 3, Shiloh here, one high. He's middle high. This corner over here, you got this deep third. Travis, you got this deep third, which would give them their cover 3 shell over top here. You probably got some hooks, some curl flats over here, and some curl flats over here. My guess is number 7 here, who looks like he's coming off the edge, was in that curl flat, maybe just a flat, maybe not a curl, but he's in that flat window, which would mean Travis has this deep third. It's cover 3. You got this deep third. Arizona is going to run this corner route here, and it's going to be wide open. Shiloh, like I said, has the one high. The corner route's going to be wide open into Travis's third. I think that he might have busted on the coverage, and that's what allowed them to give up this big reception. You say he's a first-round corner. You cannot have mistakes like this, and this is another reason why I think the scouts are watching this film and saying, I think Travis should specialize at receiver. He's super athletic. He make plays with the ball in his hands. He's a difference maker. I think he can also be a difference maker at corner, but I think the reason that the scouts are saying that he should specialize is because they're watching the same all 22 film I'm watching, and they're seeing some of these deficiencies, some of these things that he's messing up on. Not so much that it's anything about his athletic ability or that he can't be great at it, but they think if he specialized, he could probably be better at receiver than he is at corner. That's the way I see what they have said. And you even see that Shiloh feels like he should be protected here as well, because this wouldn't have get thrown if Travis is even 5 to 10 yards deeper in this coverage. If Travis is right here, when the quarterback is looking at him, he probably throws the flat, and they probably rally to the flat, make it third down. But when he's down here covering the flat instead of getting his deep third, that leaves that wide open. The quarterback can put it on him easily. Easy completion right there. Easy completion right there. So I think this might have been a busting coverage. And if you look at Shiloh's telling him, you got to come back. You got to come back. You got to come back. That's your zone. I don't know who was right. Travis seems to have pointed down like, no, I got to get him. He might have been saying number 7 wasn't in his zone, so I had to get cover his butt, and you're supposed to cover my back. I don't know. But it seems like there was a miscommunication. I think the scouts are simply looking at this film and thinking, we see more consistent play at receiver than we do with him at corner. He makes some super athletic plays. They know he studies a ton of film. They know he's super smart. He's obviously got Deion Sanders, the best cornerback ever to touch the football field, as his head coach. But I think the scouts might look at the film and think, he's a little more consistent at wide receiver. And maybe next video I need to do some wide receiver film on him, watch his all 22 wide receiver film and see what that looks like and see what compare the consistency. But this is just one game. So you got to think there's probably other mess ups at cornerback in other games. Not trying to say he's a bad player. You've heard me rave about him as a player, as an athlete, this whole clip. But I think some of the scouts might see some deficiencies in his cornerback play. That's why they think he should go to receiver and specialize at receiver. You guys let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. What did you guys think about this film? Do you guys think I should show more cut-ups? What do you guys think? I will move on. Okay, next, down a step from elite college football, officials pitch a model for a new sports landscape. So basically, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that obviously we all know there are sweeping changes going on in college football. There are sweeping changes going on at the Power 5 level. NIL is taking its changes. I mean, there's settlements being made with the NCAA and some of these lawsuits. There's a lot going on, and that could ultimately affect FCS football. That could ultimately affect college football as a whole. I'm going to read a little bit of what I'm talking about. Facing upheaval on the way in college athletics, a handful of administrators and athletes from smaller schools have been working on a new model of governance. The hope by members of the football championship subdivision and Division I dubbed AAA programs without football, so Gonzaga, Division I AAA programs is to give their athletes more of a say and essentially treat them more like students than employees. It was a way to be proactive and potentially head off future lawsuits amid seismic changes across college sports that started even before the recent $2.77 billion settlement of antitrust claims agreed to by the NCAA and the nation's 5 biggest conferences. That proposal, which needs a judge's approval, also set the stage for schools to pay millions directly to athletes. So basically, that proposal and settlement settlement by the NCAA is going to set changes to NCAA. It's at least the big 5 conferences, big 4 conferences of NCAA, that those schools can directly pay their players, and there's going to be a revenue share model in place. The full impact of the settlement is not yet known, but there are concerns that the chase for championships and big-time revenue is beyond the scope and interest of many schools. So basically, a lot of schools are looking to chase championships and are looking for big dollars. The SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12, like all those conferences are looking for big dollar amounts. But not all schools are looking for that money, and not all schools, I guess what they're saying here, not all schools are looking to chase championships, which I would disagree with, but not all schools are looking for that big dollar amount. Our goal was to create a sustainable model that was philosophically and legally defensible and would keep our subdivisions competing in Division 1. There are 128 FCS programs that offer football, from Abilene Christian to Youngstown State. There are another approximately 90 Division I AAA schools without football that include basketball-focused athletic programs, such as Gonzaga, Creighton, St. John's. Really, really good basketball schools. Really, really good basketball schools. Organizers say their plan would keep their schools at the D1 level while giving athletes more control over governance without resorting to legal action, and perhaps provide them with a chance to earn credits towards a degree for athletics. So with this new model, are athletes no longer gonna be students, and like you can choose to be a student if you want? Like that organizers plan legal action, perhaps provide them with a chance to earn credits towards a degree for athletics. A degree for athletics? So they could get a degree in athletics? I'm not understanding. Clearly, I'm not understanding. A degree for athletics. Interesting. This group enlisted the Pictor Group as consultants last November. The plan has the stated mission of treating athletes more like other students and outlines a different role for coaches. Potential no-nos could include removing a player from a team as punishment or pressuring them to move into certain majors. Other proposals cover unreasonable time commitments, rules for appearance off the field, and testing for recreational drugs. So this very much sounds like the NCAA. I don't know why. Like, doesn't the NCAA already have these rules in place? Is the NCAA being outlawed because of these settlements? Like, what's happening to the NCAA that these rules wouldn't already these rules are already in place? What is the problem with the NCAA is what I'm asking. Obviously, there's got to be some kind of control to compete at a high level, but not exerting control of everything they do. Cohn said of the coaches. Those pieces are really critical to our model, where the student athletes are going to be very involved. Interesting. Former Abilene Christian football player Anthony Egbo Jr., Josh Egbo, my former teammate at Montana. I wonder if you guys are related. And Radford volleyball player from Meredith, Page, are among the athletes involved. They surveyed peers on what coaches expected of them and got 100 responses to help formulate the model. I don't think I'm going to read any of the rest of this. I don't really know what this means. Getting a degree towards athletics is language that I've never heard and don't know what that means. I didn't even know that some of those basketball schools that didn't have football were called Division I AAA schools. That's news to me. I think basically with this new settlement through the NCAA, college sports are going to look very different. I think the people in power, I don't know who the people in power are. New model of government. Oh, okay. Let me go back. The first sentence I read. This is from the AP also. This is something that I got from Sam Herder. Sam Herder had tweeted this, had retweeted this, had said something about it, so I went and looked at the article. Either way, I'm going to go back to the first sentence I said. Facing upheaval on the way in college athletics, a handful of administrators and athletes from smaller schools have been working on a new model of governance. The word governance should have been highlighted for me. Sometimes I miss those context clues. Sometimes I'm not understanding what I'm reading. Sometimes I just read and just ramble off. I ramble all the time. But let me read with a purpose. A new model of governance. So right now, the model of governance is the NCAA. Basically, these people are going back to the drawing board with these new changes, the NCAA settlement, all the changes that are going on at big-time college football at these big schools and the big Power 5, Power 4 schools. They're going back and they're like, we need a new model of governance. And we need a model of governance that gives these athletes more say-so, to where they're more like students than they are employees. The hope of members of the football
championship subdivision, FCS. That's what it stands for, football championship subdivision, because we play for a championship. In the past, the FBS, football bowl subdivision, they didn't play a championship model. They didn't play a playoff. This is very random based on this topic. I just want to give you guys some understanding. FBS, football bowl subdivision. FCS, football championship subdivision. They used to just play bowls, and they would decide a champion based off of whatever the computers or whatever the metric was back then. Now they have a championship. Now they have the college football playoff. Now it's all different. Everybody has a championship. We all need to be FCS. Either way, the hope by members of the FCS and Division I AAA programs without football is to give their athletes more of a say and essentially treat them more like students than employees. Okay, so now that I'm talking about a new model of governance, that I'm understanding what I'm reading and what I'm talking about, now we can be more proactive. Now we can talk, have a different conversation. Anyway, I'm not going to read everything I already read, but basically, people from these smaller schools, people from the FCS, people, all these basketball schools at these Division I AAA schools are looking for a new model of governance outside of the NCAA. The NCAA wants to do what they want to do with those P4s, want to do what they want to do with those big schools, but not everybody is on the same page as them. We all aren't chasing dollar amounts. We all aren't chasing the next championship. Some of us are happy with being competitive. Some of us are happy with getting these kids their scholarships. Like, some of us are happy with the way things are going. And this is very similar to the article I read earlier on in the year. Like, and this is America, and this is why a democracy is necessary, because people don't agree. We almost never agree on everything. And it's like, so you had the Dartmouth basketball players. They went to court. They got confirmation that they were able to form a union. That was sweeping changes in college basketball, sweeping changes in college sports in general. That was kind of to kick off all the changes we've seen in college sports take place this summer. But that Dartmouth article came out. A couple of weeks later, one of their players on their team released an article and was like, I don't feel like I'm being done wrong by Dartmouth. I'm happy with my scholarship. I'm happy with my place on the basketball team. I don't have a problem with any of my basketball teammates, but like, I basically saying, I see why they did what they did, but I'm not on the same page as them. Like, I don't think we need a union. I don't think we're being mistreated. I don't think we're being, like, I'm very happy with the scholarship I have. I'm very happy with the money that I get from the scholarship. Like, I'm happy with the benefits that I've been given. I'm happy to be able to play college basketball with my teammates. I don't need anything different. I don't need any more rights. I don't feel like I'm being disrespected, which is fair. And that's basically what these Division I schools, FCS schools are saying, which is right, because they're not getting any money from any of the changes that are going on in college sports. Like, none of these FCS schools, none of these Division I AAA schools are really benefiting from that. So they're coming out and saying, like, we feel fine with the model that was there before. We're going to make our own governance model outside of the NCAA, because we think that we're not out here chasing those big dollar amounts like they are. We're not out there chasing all these championships like they are. We feel fine with what's going on right now, and we need a governance model that reflects that. That's basically what is going on in college football, how I understand it. You guys can let me know in the comments how you interpreted some of these things. Let me know if you guys want me to put that article down below. Obviously, this will be after. I'll put it down there after the video released. If you guys want me to send you an article, let me know. That was from the AP news article, NCAA Division I model. You guys go check that out, and I will move on. Okay, now this was a question that was floated out there by, I think Sam Herder floated out the original question that I'm going to read first, and then another page, FCS page, posted what the potential conference could look like. So I'm going to read it. If OSU and WSU, Oregon State and Washington State don't get a P4 invite, they have $65 million they could use to rebuild the pack by 2026. So that's 2 years from now. If they poach Mountain West teams, it creates a trickle down. So basically, if OSU and Washington State, Oregon State and Washington State decide to, instead of leave and completely end the pack, they decide to go to other Power 4 schools. If they don't decide to go to other Power 4 schools, they stay in the pack and decide to rebuild the pack, they would most likely be pulling Mountain West teams. And with the Mountain West losing probably most of its teams, they would be looking to add. And where would they have to turn? They would have to turn to probably FCS schools. And with that, they're theoretizing what that conference would look like if they pulled a bunch of Big Sky and Missouri Valley teams. Mountain West backfills with top Big Sky and Missouri Valley football teams, or Conference USA teams, or a combo. This is Sam Herder. And CUSA then backfills again with FCS teams. So basically, if the Pac-12 rebuilds itself other than going to another Power 4 school, that was gross. If the Pac-12 rebuilds itself instead of going to join another Power 4 conference,
that's going to mean a trickle down, and FCS teams are going to be poached from the FCS. I think there's a multitude of reasons why this could be good. And Sam Herder also mentioned, so I'm going to reiterate something he mentioned. This could be good for a multitude of reasons. Some of those schools that we wanted to see in the same conference, like North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Montana State, they could end up being in the same conference. A lot of competition. That could be a really good conference. But also, this could make for more parity at the FCS level. A lot of the Blue Bloods would probably be leaving to join that Missouri Valley, the Mountain West Conference, and that would make for a very interesting FCS subdivision. Like, a lot of teams would now have a chance to win a championship. A lot of teams would get the opportunity to be able to play deep in the playoffs, to be able to play to win that championship. It could be twofold, a good for some of these Montana States, North Dakota States, but it could also be good for some of those other teams in the FCS. I'm going to read to you what at NDSU2FBS, that is their at NDSU2FBS, so basically obviously an NDSU account. They said, in quotes, a not entirely unrealistic new Mountain West Conference could look like this: NDSU, South Dakota State, Montana State, Wyoming, Fresno State, Nevada, San Jose State. So those four, Wyoming, Fresno, Nevada, San Jose, already in the Mountain West. You got New Mexico already in it, and Hawaii. So they really are basically saying Boise State. I don't even know the Mountain West right now, so I'm not. Boise State, San Diego State. I can't remember all the teams right now, but basically probably a couple 4 to 5 teams would be getting pulled from the Mountain West, and they'd add NDSU, SDSU, Montana State. I think this would be amazing. Obviously, Nevada used to be in the Big Sky Conference. I don't know about Wyoming, Fresno, San Jose, New Mexico, but I think I think all NDSU, SDSU, Montana State can compete with all of those schools. I think they can compete with the other schools in the Mountain West as well right now, but we're not going to get into that. I think that'd be an amazing conference. I think that'd be a really competitive conference. I think that'd be a beauty. And these Big Sky teams being able to travel to Hawaii, what? That'd be amazing. Either way, though, I think that could really be what it turns out to be. I would be very excited to see that conference. I would be very happy for FCS football and for these Montana States, North Dakota States, South Dakota States. I'd be very happy for them if they got to move up to the FCS, or if they got to move up to the Mountain West. I think that'd be very good for those schools. I think that'd be very good for their fan bases, but also with the FCS, I think giving those smaller schools an opportunity, taking NDSU, South Dakota State, Montana State out of the equation, also gives more schools another opportunity. So you guys let me know what you guys think about that in the comments, and I will for sure move on. Okay, this I will reiterate once again. I was watching Zach McKinnell and his co-host on FCS Blue Bloods yesterday, which was Saturday. They had a great show yesterday talking about their FCS. They were trying to build an FCS team, the greatest FCS team of all time, like building a fantasy FCS team using players from, and I'm thinking about doing a fantasy Big Sky team of all the best Big Sky players of all time. So you guys let me know what you guys would think about that. But Zach McKinnell, later on in this video, after they finished their rankings and everything like that, we're talking about some of the toughest schedules. I can't remember how Portland State, I cannot remember for the life of me how Portland State came up in their schedule. But when you take a look at Portland State's schedule, it is a gauntlet. This might be the craziest schedule I've ever seen in my life. Ever. Seriously. So I'm going to go down it. I said that MSU had the toughest Big Sky schedule. Big Sky is in quotes because I did say I think they have the toughest conference schedule. But nobody's schedule even comes close to Portland State's. And I don't want to recant what I said about Montana State and their tough Big Sky schedule, but let me just rattle off what Portland State's full schedule looks like, and you guys let me know in the comments what you guys think about this. You have week 1. You have Washington State, an FBS team. You got week 2, and they're at Washington State, obviously. Week 2, at Weber State. I don't think that's a conference game because they play them so early. It might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's a conference game. Either way, week 2 at Weber State. You have week 3. You're playing South Dakota at home, 2023 playoff team. You got week 4 at Boise State, an FBS team, a really good squad, really good running back, decent quarterback. You got week 5 at Chattanooga, a 2023 playoff team. They lost to, I believe Chattanooga lost to Furman in the second round. Might have been the quarterfinals. No, Montana played Furman in the quarterfinals. So the second round, because the second round doesn't have a name. You got first, second round, then quarterfinals, semifinals. than the championship. So they lost to them in the second round. Chattanooga lost to Furman in the second round, but Chattanooga nonetheless a playoff team. That's their week 5 matchup. That's at Chattanooga. So their first 5 games of the season, they're four of their first 5 games of the season, they're on the road. 2 of those are 2023 playoff teams, and 2 of those are FBS opponents. I mean, we could stop it right there, and that makes their schedule probably the toughest in FCS football. Right there. 4 on the road in their first 5. They're not even at home for 4 of their first 5 games, people. Like, are you kidding me? Week 6, you play UC Davis at home. UC Davis is a team that I think should have been. I think they finished 7-4 last year. I thought they should have been a playoff team. You could have really picked Sac or them. I think you really could have put both of them in, but they decided to put Sac in instead of UC Davis. Sure, whatever. But a team that could have been an FCS playoff, 2023 playoff team should have been, in my opinion. That's week 6. They play them at home. You got week 7 at Idaho State. I think they should win that. They could win that. We'll see how they're looking at that point in the season. That's week 7. You got week 8, Montana State. They play them at home, a 2023 playoff team. They lost to NDSU in the quarterfinals. Very interesting right there. That week 8 matchup, very interesting. I think that's probably going to be an L for them. I don't know what Portland State is going to look like right now, but if I had to guess, I'd say that's going to be an L for them. So let's look at what we think their record should be after week 8. After week 8, you got 0-1 against Washington State. You got 0-2 against Weber State. I think Weber State will probably beat Portland State. You got 0-3 against South Dakota. You got 0-4 against Boise State. You got 0-5 against Chattanooga. You got 0-6 against UC Davis. You get your first win against Idaho State in week 7. Week 7. Now you're 1-6. You then play Montana State, and now you're 1-7. Now you're 1-7. And I think Portland State might have a pretty decent roster, but looking at their schedule, it doesn't look good for them. Week 8, you're 1-7. You go into your bye week at week 9. First off, that is a late bye week, especially given what their schedule is looking like. I mean, what? What? 1-7 going into your bye week? These boys might not even want to play at this point. I mean, they are going through an absolute gauntlet. And I know schedules are decided years ahead, but oh my gosh, whoever scheduled this schedule must have thought Portland State was on the up and up. And they were like, yeah, and then we'll get some tough games on our schedule so that we'll have some ground to stand on. Like, no, brother. Like, this is looking rough. I say best case scenario. I said 1-7 going into their bye week. I say best case scenario, Portland State is 3-4, 1-7. I say best case scenario, Portland State is 3-5 going into their bye week. I think best case scenario. Best case scenario. 3-5 going into their bye week. I think they could beat Chattanooga, South Dakota, or Weber State. They could win 2 out of those 3. But I don't see them beating Washington State. I don't see them beating Boise State, and I don't see them beating UC Davis. I don't know. They could beat. I think they could win out of Idaho State, UC Davis, Weber State, South Dakota. I think they could win 2 of those. 3 of those. 3 out of those 4. They could. But if I'm being realistic, I think they're going to be 1-7 going into week 9. 1-7. So then let's go after the bye week. They get their bye week, week 9, late bye week in general. Let's go week 10. Week 10, you got Sac State at Sac State. I don't know if I mentioned they have Idaho State at week 7 is on the road. Doesn't really affect much, I don't think. You got Montana State at home. Doesn't really affect much. They don't have a great home crowd out. And that's another thing. That's another thing that we need to mention as to why I think their schedule will look the way it looks. Portland State's fans do not show up very strongly. Whenever I've played there twice, and our fans showed up stronger than Portland State's fans both times. Now, obviously, Portland State, Pacific Northwest, not very far from Montana. Not a far trip to make it over there, but still, Portland State their fans don't show up very well all the time. So a home or away date doesn't really matter for them. Either way, you got Sac State at home in week 10 following the bye week. I say they'll be 1-8 following that. You got week 11, you got Idaho, Sac State 2023 playoff team. They got them on the road. Idaho, a 2023 playoff team. Looks very different. Team is going to look very different this year, but still a 2023 playoff team. That's week 11. That's week 11. They were 1-7 week 8. You got your bye week. 1-9 week 10. 1-10 week 11. You got Montana week 12 at Montana. At Montana.
At Montana. Oh my gosh. So what was you? 1-7, 1-8, 1-9. You're now 1-10. 1-10 after the Montana date at Montana, who was the 2023 playoff team, FCS runner-up, went to the national championship. And then you got Northern Colorado. Northern Colorado, week 13. I think they finish 2-10 following that Northern Colorado game. I think they can beat Northern Colorado. But just looking at their schedule, just based off what these teams were last year, I think Portland State would end the season 2-12. 2-10 based off this schedule. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm just trying to be realistic. I'm just trying to look at this schedule. It's a brutal schedule. 4 of the first 5 games on the road. Please, 4 of their first 5 games are on the road. That is no easy feat for anybody. Nobody likes, depending on the plays, you like playing on the road, but playing 4 of your first 5 games on the road is going to be rough. You're going to feel like you've barely been in your home stadium. And I don't even know if they have a home stadium. They obviously play at Hillsboro, which is that stadium that they play out. I think it's a high school stadium in the Portland area, but they don't actually have a home stadium that's theirs. So I don't know, man. This is going to be crazy. And then, so 4 of their first 5 are on the road. Let's go even further and go down to that Idaho State date. 5 of their first 7 are on the road. 5 of their first 7 games are on the road. This is just an absolutely brutal schedule. Just brutal. You guys let me know what you guys think about in the comments. I think 2-10 is where I see them. I think at best, and this is at best, I think Portland State at best can get to 6-6. I don't even know how they get to 6-6. But I think at best they could be 6-6. 6-6. I don't want to go down through the whole breakdown because I just did a whole breakdown of, kind of their schedule at home, at away, what the games look like. But I think at best they can probably be 6-6, maybe get to 500. I see that pretty far-fetched. Not to crap on Portland State. I just respect the Big Sky. I respect the Big Sky opponents that they have. But I also respect, their schedule. Forget what I said about Montana State and their Big Sky schedule. Portland State has the toughest Big Sky schedule. Portland State has the toughest schedule in the country. I don't know a lot of other people's schedules that would look like this. I don't know. I think at best they can get to 6-6, but I'm saying conservatively that they're going to be 2-10 next year. 2-10 next year. So you guys let me know what you think about that in the comments. We will move on. This is not Portland State hate. I do not hate Portland State. I respect Portland State. I hope Robbie Houck has an amazing season there as their special teams coordinator. I know he's going to have a great year. Hard worker, grinder. But, man, it looks rough for you boys. I will move on. I appreciate you guys. I will move on. Okay, that is going to conclude my video today. I want to thank you guys for tapping in. I want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like. Make sure you leave me a comment down below of what you thought. If you want to see any of those links that I referenced in the video, please, I can send those to you. If you let me know in the comments, I can send you the articles. I'm sure you guys can search them if you guys want. But I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Thank you guys for viewing my channel. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe. Make sure you guys hit that like. Make sure you guys tell a friend to follow me. Football season is approaching, fast approaching. We just got over 1,300 subscribers. We're chasing 1,400 now. So make sure you guys continue to support the channel. I want to thank you guys for continuing to support. I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.